Claire Kumar, your host for NAPO's podcast Standout. I'm thrilled to be with you again to talk about webinars and how they can boost your business. So I don't know about you, but I've had to think about alternative revenue streams as we've had to not so easily go into people's homes and do the things, or go to clients and visit our corporate clients. And so looking at ways to operate virtually has been really important. And I will have to say straight up, I'm at the infancy in that. So I wanted to talk to a NAPO member who you will likely know and already love, Leslie Josel. Want to welcome Leslie back to Standout. She is a woman with no shortage of talent, creativity, or income streams. From right? From speaking.
That is true.
It's true. Speaking to coaching to writing. She's the author of 3 books, creating products, and of course, a lucrative webinar series. So whenever Leslie does something, she figures out how to do it well. So she's an inspiration to me, has been for many years. She's the founder of Order Out of Chaos, creator of the award-winning academic planner. You can kind of see them on the floor in the background there with the big 2121 on it. Really funky new design. Love that. It's a tool for time management, and every student needs one. She's a weekly columnist as well with ADDitude Magazine. Really a phenomenal resource for anybody in the ADD, ADHD community. And so, Leslie, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I remember hearing you talk about how you've created a webinar, a way to do webinars so that they're actually profitable in your business. And that's what I'm hoping we can spend the next little while talking about.
For you, anything. Come on. And not even you. I hope everyone out there realizes that I'm an open book. Like, there's enough toys in the sandbox for everybody, and we're all better together. So whatever I can bring to the table, I'm going to tell you how I do things. That does not mean that it is always the perfect way, the right way, or even the most profitable way, but it works for us at Order Out of Chaos. So I just have to say that.
Well, yeah, I wanted to know what you've done, and then if somebody's getting started, if we can sort of bring it down to some bite-sized next steps that someone like me might do if they were, thinking of integrating this into their business. But let's understand what you've done. Maybe you can help us understand, what you've created on the webinar front.
Okay, so you have to understand that I am not new to NAPO. I'm old, and I have been around, I've been around for a long time. So
can we say seasoned? Can we say veteran?
We are seasoned.
Yeah.
But what I think everyone needs to know about my business is that about 6 years ago, I went completely virtual. So we do not do anything like in person. But I was actually doing webinars even when I was going, myself or my team were going door to door and house to house and things like that. And
aside from main stage speaking, which you still do a little bit of, is that correct?
Yes, of course. I still speak. Well, right now it's all virtual.
Yeah, right. You were like ahead of the curve on going virtual. But
I even feel I was ahead of the curve and doing webinars, and back then they weren't webinars, they were teleconferences. You picked up a phone and people just listened.
Right.
Remember those? Okay,
it's like Clubhouse now. Clubhouse is the new app. It's like a conference call, except you get little pictures of who's there.
Right.
Kind of.
But that was not even then. So the point was, and this is something that I really want to make everyone realize, obviously you're going to start small. You're going to start somewhere. And for me, I started 100 years ago, and the first webinar I ever gave, there were 5 people on the line. One of them was my sister and the other one was my best friend. So again, you can't go into anything. And this is something, I think this is more universal. You just have to start, and you have to start somewhere. Because what you have to realize is my first goal of doing my first webinar was not to make money. Can't do that, or you will never make money. My goal to doing my first webinar was to be able to say, I did a webinar, and to have sound bites, and then to be able to promote those sound bites, and then be able to say, do you see what I mean? Like if I had tried to make money on that first webinar, I think I would have been in the negative, because I didn't even charge for the first one. The first one I did was absolutely free.
Right.
But what I had done is I'm in like, we coach students, ADHD, executives function. And even though we were going house to house and door to door, I was very consciously building an email list of people that wanted to get information and resources and stuff like that from me or us, although I couldn't work with them, in person. So I was building that list by newsletters. Back then it was very different. There were no podcasts and things like that. So my first webinar was almost an extension, I felt, of my newsletter, because it was, here's information, here's tips. And then I was getting a lot of questions back. And I said, you know what if I did a webinar that answered all of these questions? So my first webinar was actually it was actually an Ask the Expert Q&A. That's kind of how, or not like it was, I just took all these questions and answered them.
Right.
So that's the first thing I did. And then what I was able to do after that was say, okay, we now do webinars and put that in a newsletter. And here's like somebody's review of it. Like, granted, it was my sister, but so be it. But the point was to take it from A and build slowly to get it to where it is today. So if I was to say to you anything, is pick the subject, if you're starting out, that you get the most questions asked of you. That would be my first thing I would say, because then you're going to get the bite you want. Someone's going to be like, wait, that's a question I constantly ask. I want to be on that call.
Right.
If you're starting out, I would give it for free, because if you've ever heard me speak at NAPO, I say, you got to give to get. You got to give to get.
People have that on a t-shirt.
I am going to make that, or I got to get a sign about my thing. Yeah. You have to give to get, and you're going to give away your best stuff. And no, people are not going to work with you. And no, people are not going to trust me. You give it away. Just give it away.
And so 2 things to that. Don't be afraid of being generous there, because people will receive it and want more from you, and trust that you're this creative dynamo and you're coming up with more gold, right?
Always.
Right?
This is the philosophy. And this is, even if you're giving away that much amazing content for free, imagine what's going to happen if they paid for you. Like, it's going to be like, right? Right. And I always feel that way, even on your website. Like, there should be something on your website. And we all think like, okay, somebody gives me your email and I give you content. No, that's not giving it away. You're still asking for something. There should be things on your website that people can access without them having to do anything. They have to take you for coffee before they take you on an overnight date. Okay, I'm a Bachelor fan. You can you can hear it. But I kind of feel that way. You've got to let me have a cup of coffee with you and test you out before I go away on into the fantasy suite.
You've got to feel some value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's it. This is something you really want to do. And I'm going to tell you guys, I feel like I stepped into this. I didn't have this like, okay, we're going to do X amount and this is going to be a major profitable part of our business. But I kind of saw the wheels churning, and I saw what was happening. And I made some very conscious decisions to, number one, be consistent. So I wasn't, what our community knew right from the beginning at that time, it was 4 webinars a year. Like, that's what we started with. And we had the dates. We committed to them. We committed to topics. There was a consistency, and there was something at that time to look forward to. We do things differently now, but at the beginning, it was that kind of consistency, or at least like feeding them, like, you loved this one, here's the next one.
Did it fit in your newsletter strategy that the webinars were? And so what's the consistency, we're talking about your newsletter? What happens from your newsletter and as it relates to your webinars?
So we do 10, believe it or not, we do 10 webinars a year. And that is a lot. We take December off and we take July off.
Okay.
And we figured out the strategy of some are free, most are not. And that's an interesting way. And that's what I'm saying to you about how we do things differently than other people do. Because most people say do a free webinar and then dangle something at the end.
Right.
I hate that. Sorry.
You're waiting for the ask. Are you not waiting for the ask? You're like, okay, you're going to want, what do you want? What do you want? No. Can I get off this call before?
Right. So this is me. I'm like, you're going to pay for the webinar, but guess what? That's all you're getting. I'm not selling you anything.
Straight up.
And I literally get on
Yeah.
the webinar, and if any of you have been on my webinars, I say that right off the bat. Guess what? You paid for this webinar. There's nothing for me to sell you.
Yeah.
The webinar is what I sold you.
Yeah.
And you're here, and I'm about to give you 50 minutes of unbelievable content. So get your pens up, and let's go for the ride.
And don't feel like you're in a funnel.
There's no funnel.
Right.
No funnel, not selling you anything.
Right.
And people are like, really? And
the anti-funnel strategy.
Nothing. But that's me. That's not for everybody.
That's continuing to give and serve and build this reciprocity. And then and people then also understand the terms of that relationship, right? So it's not, there's no feeling of being duped or being not valuable enough. Like, oh, when you get to my super member, $10,000 a year is super duper club.
But that's for me. And that does not, somebody else might go, she's leaving money on the table. And I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not. But for me, that works, and it works for our community. They are willing to show up and pay our webinar price to know that they're going to not only sit back and get live, Leslie, we never do anything recorded. It is live. You get me. If you show up live, you will get me.
Yeah.
And then you get it, no matter if you showed up live or not. We actually give you the recording for a week, and that is also unheard of. But we give it for a week for you to listen to. And I know you asked a question about our newsletters. We are as consistent as the day is long. I don't care if there's a hurricane, a pandemic, I mean, we had like Hurricane Sandy, and we were about to lose power. And I'm like, I got to get this done. Once a month. We are, and we also ask our community, and then during that month, we will send out separate emails. We call them dedicated emails, just about webinars, like heads up, webinar happening. So we not only put it in our newsletter, it's also on our website, in our Facebook group, dedicated emails on social. I mean,
but this newsletter piece is part of that consistency, right?
Completely.
And so your people are there listening to you, and it's reinforced in these other, and you might attract other people, but this is your group. This is our group.
And we have figured out like how to balance, as you said. So our everyone knows I'm a student coach. It's what we do. So our August, we always do a back to school webinar, and purposely that webinar is always free, and purposely because that brings in a whole lot of new people to the thing. And I'm going to be very upfront here. Our February webinar is always free because, number one, it is time management month. And to know me is to know time management is my jam. It's what I speak about. It's what I'm known for. But here's the other reason. We kick off our planner season in March. So there is a reason why February is free, because again, it brings in hordes of new people to our community. We're not selling anything on that webinar. But we will announce that there's a pre-sale starting next month for the planners and so on. So there is strategy behind how we have structured our thing. We are uber consistent. We always offer incentives. That is something that we have found works. Sometimes it's fun giveaways. If we're doing like a fun webinar, like back to school, we always give away, I get some products and stuff like that. So they're fun to give away. But every single webinar you get, we always say, if you show up live, you get a chance to win an hour of my time. And for whatever that is, people kind of like that. So there's an incentive. That's for showing up live, because there's a reason you want people to show up live, because that interaction and that feeling of being part of something bigger than themselves is, but not everybody can. We know that.
So that makes me think of a question around format. When you're doing the webinar, what platform are you using, and how interactive is it in that?
We are Zooming. We Zoom. And so you guys know I'm very animated. So how I do it is very, like, everything gets dropped. Like, I'll ask, we do polls, we do questions, drop things in the chat. I'm like a repeater. Have you ever heard?
So it's a meeting, not it's a webinar, not a meeting, right? It's a webinar.
It's a webinar, not a meeting.
Okay.
And I stay on. I answer questions. We always like I said, I'm just thinking of things that we do that's really important. I do give away that hour of my time, and I do get people looking at me like, you still do that? I'm like, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
Like, what's the, just as a point of curiosity, what's the percentage of people that take you up on that free hour?
Every single time.
Everyone. Right. Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't, not me, but if someone's offering you, an expert's offering you a free hour of their time.
Well, what that speaks to is the hunger of your audience, right? So you've built this. This is the people that want what you've got. So yeah, if you're wildly out there just, doing something and not targeting so well and building that reciprocity, you're not going to have the hunger for your time.
Well, here's the other thing too, Claire, and I think this is super important because I've been asked this question before, but I think it really plays into the webinar. If you want to build anything, I want to be clean. Sometimes I have a potty mouth. You're not going to throw like poop into the wind, okay? You're going to, like, one of the things I've always done, even since the beginning, is ask my community questions. We ask them everything. And if you follow me or whatever, you know that. So every single webinar, we ask, like, what webinar topics do you want? Like, I'm not, you're not going to build a webinar platform and then have crickets. It's the same thing with our planners. We're like, do you like this cover or that cover? Do you want this size or that size? I mean, obviously you're not going to ask questions you can't deliver on.
Right.
But why I think our webinars have grown and are so successful is that we ask our community. I mean, it seems so simple, but I know a lot of people don't do this. Like, you need to ask them, hey, do you want on social, anxiety or social skills or things like that? And the other thing that I think also is important, and I would do this as you get more successful in your webinars, is we do bring in guest experts. And you've heard me say this, and I got a lot of like, but aren't you feeling like they're going to love them and leave you? And I firmly believe there's enough toys in the sandbox. But I want my people to stay in the Order Out of Chaos community. Right. So it is better for me to bring people to our community than for me to tell people in my community to go out to find them. So me bringing in a doctor to talk about ADHD and anxiety, or someone to talk about social skills in boys, or someone to come and talk about screen time, which is something we're doing in the spring, benefits me. It just elevates all of us to a level that I think is important. So I think as you move on, bringing other experts in, I think shows your comfort, your expertise, your professionalism, and it shows your community you're listening to their needs.
Brilliant. Yeah. When you're asking your community what they need through the newsletter, do you have a Facebook group as well that you nurture?
So we poll every Thursday. That's just something, I'm very organized.
Yeah.
Tuesday is ADDitude Thursday. So always every Thursday is a poll question, and it always is about like something very specific. Like, we just do it. We ask them all the time in our newsletters. We ask them on Facebook. We ask them. I do a Q&A. So that's something else I do. In our Facebook group, I do a Q&A once a month. Like, they know the date, time, I show up in my like workout clothes and nothing fancy, and everyone can show up, and I do a lot of questioning there, and we do a lot of questioning at the webinar. So there's always, the other thing is, when I say about continuity, it's there's always something else after that webinar. I feel like what you have to do with your community is you've got to kind of keep reining them in and keeping them there. So at our time out, if we're doing a webinar in February, we are talking about at the end the webinar we're doing in March. We are not selling it, we're telling them. There's an
awareness piece.
And we give them an incentive to sign up for it. We're like, hey, here's what's happening in March. If you sign up within the week, we give you a certain percentage off. One of the things that we will be doing is kind of going forward for the fall is doing webinar packages, so that you can buy a package and you can pick which webinars you want, because I'm all about customization.
Like the theater.
Right, exactly. Like Lincoln Center. So the other thing I do, and I find that this is really helpful, is everything we do has a video component to it. So on our product pages, on our social, on everything, there's always a video of me like talking right to you, hitting your pain point, going like, is your kid not knowing what time? I'm just making this up. Or like we just did our study skill ones. Like, does your kid know how to study? Are they saying they're studying and they're not? Blah, blah, blah. So there's that video of me going, well, then you have to join us. And here's what we're going to talk about. And that personal invitation of hearing me go like, now come, I think brings people in. And if we are also, I want to make this clear, some of our webinars we do repeat. So our study skills webinars are our most popular. When I say repeat is I do them live, but I'll do them again, like maybe 4 or 5 months later. There's always, again, we also offer a sneak peek. I always take any webinar we've done, I find a clip from it. So even the day after, we'll say like, we had this amazing webinar. This is what you missed. Don't forget about the next one. So video of inviting and then a clip of what actually went down. We put that in our newsletters. We put that on social. We put it on LinkedIn. We put it anywhere anybody wants to see it. Helps to build the audience and the awareness of what we do and how we do it.
So we've got the teaser. You've got that invitation. Oh, there's something coming. There's something coming. And then there's the evidence along with the next teaser.
Exactly.
They're on a you're getting on a ride and you're just going to, feel that there's a compelling reason to stay engaged in this relationship.
Always. And then I feel like you need to take particularly for a webinar, you need to take people on a journey the minute they see it. So that video is part of the journey. Then they sign up. And the minute they sign up with us, they get a workbook and they get an activity to do. So it's not like, okay, I signed up and I'm now waiting 10 days. It's like, oh, okay, something to do. This is really
There's momentum.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And then the night of, there's momentum. And during, like, hey, if you stay to the end, you'll enter to win. Like, an hour of Leslie, it just, and then the next day we send an email with the recording and the show notes. And it just, again, it's how I do things. I'm not sure some of you might think it's crazy, but it's
allowing access for a week, only a week.
I think that's generous.
Because do most people just say either you attended live and you don't get it or you get the replay and the replay is yours. And then all of a sudden you've lost control because that could be shared wherever, isn't it?
Yes. So again, I'm a sneaky chef. So if you get the recording, it is password protected. You get a week, but here's the thing. I don't do this. We have a software on our website that any video you watch of ours has to be watched on our site.
Oh, okay.
We do that. I'm going to tell you why I do that. So I think a week is very generous, and we do that for a few reasons. Number one, we understand our audience, and I know that I can't always listen to something once to lay down the learning. Hello.
Yeah.
The other thing is we charge, and this isn't a secret, we charge $30 or $29.99 for our webinars. We think that's generous, but we know that money is a concern for a lot of people. If we give you a week, and this is interesting, this happened during the fall. These 5 women, moms, emailed us and said, we've become a collective and we buy your webinars. So it's only $6 each. And we each watch it on one day. And then we as a group get together to discuss it. And I'm like, next time, let me know. I'll come.
That's so great.
How fantastic is that? So we tell you, we give you that week because we understand that money is a concern. So if you can share it with like the cost with your PTA or your SEPTA or your book club or Canasta or whoever, that helps lighten. I don't care. So,
well, and here's the thing too. How many people out there have bought something and then not looked at it because it was open-ended? I think I have Brendan Burchard's something or other for $49, and I thought, oh, I should study how he does this, and I probably should. But I have not gone back and looked at it because there's always something coming. So this gives some time urgency to actually receiving the content.
And it's fair. We think a week is fair. And I will, as generous as I am, that is the one thing that is non-negotiable. Once that week is over, put a fork in it. It's done. And That is a hard and fast rule, and that rule is everywhere on our site and our webinar FAQ and every single email. I say it at the top of the hour on the webinar, because we do get people who say, I missed it. And we're like, we're really sorry, but that is our policy. And if we open it for you, we have to open it for everyone.
And then we'll lose control, and then there will be chaos, and we will all be back in chaos.
And they chat, trust me, they're friends, some people say. And so that is one hard and fast rule about that. The other thing I want to mention, if I can, because this has to do with my NAPO friends, is if you start really seriously considering doing webinars and you really want to make this part of your business, do not be afraid to launch an affiliate program and announce it to your NAPO members. There's that product plug and splash. There's, I think every month. So we have a very, very robust affiliate program at Order Out of Chaos. And originally it started just because of the planners. And then we realized, well, why are we doing that? We do webinars and parent education videos and all of that. And our NAPO friends, colleagues are very generous and have jumped on the affiliate bandwagon. And so that in and of itself has helped to
boost the business.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So want to mention that, because that is a major shout out to our NAPO friends who have really been very generous to Order Out of Chaos and say, hey, this is, you've got to get on this if you have kids with time management, executive functioning, procrastination, and so forth.
Well, and this speaks to the specialty that you serve. And so if you come across a client who's got kids or the clients themselves are struggling parents, or the children are struggling, then there's fantastic resources here. And we can lift each other up by looking to those different strengths and offering and sharing, those resources with our client base, for sure.
100%. So I really, again, if you're looking to expand that's just another way to do it, by offering an affiliate to do it. And the other thing, again, and I know you mentioned this at the top of the podcast about multiple streams of income.
Right.
You don't have to recreate the wheel to have multiple streams of income. One of the things that we do, and I think we do it pretty well, is we will take a webinar and eventually we'll retire it. And we will then make it into a parent education video, and then it lives on our site for sale. And to be honest, they become an annuity for us because it's a video, and we have a video library on our site. And I mentioned on the other side of this that the reason why we have everybody watching videos on our site is, while let's say you purchase the ADHD one, it will come up in the corner what videos you own and what videos you don't.
Just like Amazon, you might also be interested in.
So exactly. So, hey, you're watching Leslie's Demystifying Executive Functions. You didn't buy the ADHD. Oh, and maybe you love it. And now you're like, oh, what else does she have? It's right there on the page for you. Yeah. So there is actually methods to my crazy madness.
It's amazing. How did you build this expertise? And related to that, so, you started, 6 years ago, you went fully virtual. There's been a growth, right? And you started out, Leslie, and what kind of help and where, and how's that evolved? So you've got more sophisticated software and platforms underneath you, and you've also got people. So right, you have people. And so affiliate programs, there's software that you need to be buying to actually administer all this. And then there are people that need to support the software. So when your client calls with the question, you got someone who can answer. It's right.
Okay. So I hope everybody out there realizes I do not do any of this by myself in any way. And if you've ever been on a webinar, you hear me say, Carrie, Laura, Denise, but you never see them because they do not want to be seen. They're beautiful. I don't know, they're beautiful and smart, fabulous women. And I have other people who work for me too. But you hire what you look. You've had people on podcasts who have said this before. You know what you're good at and you know what you're not. I am totally front of the house. That, do not ask me to do any of what I just said technically. So I run my webinars. Carrie is the one back of the house running the Zoom, running the chat, running the chat, running the, the polls, doing that. Laura, who is my community manager, is, believe it or not, everything I say, she takes notes. So if I give you a resource or a website or something, you don't have to write it down. Laura's doing that in the back, and then you get that in the show notes. Denise is my social, and she's tweeting it out live. She's looking for clips that we're going to put on social the next day. So I don't do all that on my own, but you have people that support you and know how to do these things with you. So
right. And it's an evolution. You didn't start and then, 2 months in, hire this team. There was an evolution in it.
No, there was an evolution. And if I really was to think about it, is what really tipped my business, Claire, and I have no problem saying this, for the academic planners. I don't know, we sell a lot of them. And when we say is you're not just buying a planner, you're buying like into a community to support you. So it brings people to the site, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, there's videos and there's audio and there's worksheets and there's webinars that support that whole journey for the parent and for the student. So that really for me was the pivotal point that exploded everything, and where I really needed to say I'm either all in on like webinars. And I'm going to say this to everyone. The one thing I am going to say is I do not do courses. People have asked me about that for my community, and we've asked. But my community likes the idea of a webinar because they can pick what they want, not pick what they want.
And it's the live energy of it too is different than a course. No, or because when you're saying course, you mean self-study course. Right?
Not happening.
Yeah. It's also hard to create those because there's no energy, right? I'm a little bit like you. I feed like front of the house.
Love it.
And I like being in dialogue, right? So that was why I was asking webinar or meeting format. But when you have a moderator and a community that's active in the chat, and the moderator can bring you things, it is interactive.
And the other thing too, people, it's like you're making your decisions in real time. My problem with courses for me is you decide what's going to be, and it goes for a couple of months. And then what happens if, okay, perfect example. Hello, we have a team meeting Monday mornings. Okay, so the world shut down on March 12th, March 16th, 9 a.m. There's all my beautiful team. And they're like, what do we need to know? I'm like, nothing. We are a virtual company. The only thing we're going to do is the next webinar that's supposed to be paid for. The next 6 weeks, we're giving away everything for free. That's it. And I'm going to do a special webinar on parenting through the pandemic. Can't do that in a course, right? All of a sudden you have laid all that out. And what I find sometimes during our webinars is, number one, I get other webinar ideas because I'm hearing the questions. It's all the laboratory. And then I think what our community appreciates is sometimes I give a webinar and a webinar, like I'll listen to questions and I'll say, okay, you know what, let's chat about that now. And I'm on for another 15 minutes and everyone's like, and I'm like, I'll stay on and you'll get the recording, so don't worry. And I think that value added in real time really makes a difference. Really makes a difference. So think about it. If I had tried to do a course during the pandemic, it would have been irrelevant. So
or you don't know what the pulse is or how things are changing, and when people go back to school and when things are opening up again. There's so much. It's very fluid and it's very interactive. It's going to be on point. You can't not be. I hadn't thought about that. That is brilliant.
But I didn't do that purpose. I think you ultimately have to figure out, and I've given you all this, like do a workbook, take them on the journey, make sure there's a video. My daughter calls it peaking and valleying. Like you have to do all that. You've got to keep people interested. What's the next one, right? And we literally, we finished with, we did our study skills one in January, and we went right into it's time management month, and it's free, and get on that sign up. And we do a lot of, this is the other thing, we do cap things. And that is something that I find is very effective. So, and that's actually legitimate because, your Zoom only can hold so many depending on, so I know this is going to sound crazy for some people when I say this number, but we cap our webinars at 1,000.
Yeah.
And trust me, we could have a lot more, but it gets unwieldy. But not all those people show up live, obviously.
Right.
But being able to say your webinar is sold out is very intoxicating, because
Yes.
then they're like, sounds on, ears up, when's the next one? So
That's right.
make sure you're capping, make sure
Yeah.
you sell, even if you're not sold out, say you're sold out 2 or 3 days before it goes live.
Wow. Yeah. There is the science of marketing that definitely applies with scarcity, right? Yeah. It's like, I'm going to miss out. That FOMO scarcity whole thing is
I
at play.
didn't get on it. Is there a seat? No, sorry, not a
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we do sell out,
Yeah.
not every single time, but we
Yeah.
say we're sold out even
Yeah.
sometimes. That's a trick. I'm telling you.
No, there's a lot of that going on in terms of building that sense of urgency.
Yes.
When you're theming, my last question for you, when you're theming I've already heard the strategy of August and January free, because they're queuing up.
August and February.
Or February, sorry, February free, because time management.
Time management month is always free.
Right. How else do you theme things? Because you said sometimes you bring a webinar back. Are you waiting to hear that, like, what goes on, so you're not planning too far ahead?
It's okay. We are so planned in some things.
Right.
We are so not planned in others. And that's also the beauty of not having a course. So yes, as I said at the beginning, we ask all the time, like, what is it you want? So back over the summer, we were like, what do you want? What resonated was anxiety, adolescence, and ADHD.
Yeah.
I knew that I know I'm very acutely aware of where I begin and end. Mm-hmm. And I was like, to go into that deeply, I needed to bring somebody in who had who wore that hat. So I brought in a guest expert. But really what happens is we pour over the comments, the questions, the polls, and that's how we build things. So for example, I was not planning on bringing a study skills webinar back in January. We did it in April. Mm-hmm. But resounding, it was, we want the study skills, bring back study skills.
Right.
And we are also super generous. Like sometimes we will say, if you've taken it and you've already paid for it and you want the refresher, we will allow you to show up. We will also say, if you've already taken this, do not waste your money. Like, we don't want to get those calls like, I did this again. And the same thing with our parent education videos. So right now there was an old one on the site. Right. We took that one down. Mm-hmm. This one that in February will be new. You will automatically get it if you've already paid for the video.
Oh, wow.
Yes. We will never make you pay for something you've already paid for. So
it's sort of lifetime. Yes. When it's alive. It's like when it's not dormant, when it's out in the world, you have a lifetime access to this thing, but when it's available.
Right.
Well, that's really interesting. Yeah. And generous, I think. Yeah.
I cannot stress enough that how much generosity goes a long way. Mm-hmm. What's the expression? You get more with honey than vinegar. I don't know if that's, but I really feel if you can, you should do. Yeah. If you can. Not everybody can, and I respect that, but I, in good conscience, I can't have had somebody pay for something, update it, and not allow them to have the newer version.
Well, I think Franklin Covey, the Stephen Covey book, there's a new edition, and they're selling it, saying there's a little bit more, and you should get it because there's a little bit more, but buy a new book is the message. So I appreciate the generosity in it, and I think there's a greater connection to fulfillment on your part because you know that you're having impact.
I also know that because I'm not a pushover. I think everybody knows that. And I also obviously sell things. Like, obviously I wouldn't be where I wouldn't be here. So I think what happens is when I say to you, I'm doing this webinar and it is going to cost you $29.99, and I stand behind that amount and I don't feel, or I have a new book coming out,
Right.
or our planners are here, I don't get any conversation. Like, I think because I do give, I have balanced the give and the get, that there's no like conversation around, oh, she's selling again. You know what I mean? There's none of that happening at Order Out of Chaos, even to the point where when we look at our newsletter, we need to balance copy to make sure this is value copy. I'm announcing a sale of something. Now I have, this is content driven. And where is it even placed? Because there have been times where I've looked at the way it's laid out and gone, nope, sale, not working for me. Top article needs to be needs to be like the content driven. Then we can announce we're selling something. So I am very, very conscious of that. And I think that is because I know my community. You've got to know who you're talking to. You've got to know what they're about. And you've got to know what they will take from you and what they won't.
Brilliant. Brilliant advice. I hope everyone has been taking as many notes as I have, and because there are such incredible gems in here. I mean, from being consistent, giving to get, incenting the behavior that you're looking for.
Incentivize, absolutely.
Yeah, and keep that flow. Like you're going on the lazy river ride, man. You're on it, right?
We, that's just, listen, I'm chatty and I like people, so it's not hard, but it's funny. One of the things we're doing right now is our community, we asked, what do you want to know more about? And they were like, we want you to take us on the planner journey. I'm like, you do what? Yeah. They want to see, and we've been doing that. We've been documenting like
how you make it,
how the first conversation after the year goes. So like we took video of us sitting virtually discussing, going through every Amazon comment, every customer service comment, how pictures of me with our graphic artist, like Laura with the fulfillment center.
The realness of this whole thing. Yeah.
And so people are like, we love this. I'm like, you do? Because I think it's, so they're, like that's.
But it's an interesting peripheral curiosity. It's just gone beyond the content of the teaching into the whole community and what it's baked around and what they're, what you're bringing to it and how you're bringing to it. So
it feels very natural for me to be that way.
Yeah.
Like warts and all. Like I am, because that is who I am. I think, you could say a lot about me. I think what you hear here, what you see on a webinar, what you see on a stage if I'm speaking, there's no difference.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's just the only way I know how to be. Now, that's not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. But I think it's the same thing with webinars and why, I want to bring it back here, why it was important to us to balance the paid and the not paid and be very upfront about, I am charging you, but guess what? That's what I'm selling you. That's it. And that's the period at the end of that sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. I think your community appreciates not only your knowledge and talent, but also the way you're doing business. So I hope everyone's listening to, all those different approaches, but just, we celebrate authenticity, and you're a fine example of what you see is what you get, what you hear is what you get. And there's, so you can trust that. And if you like to do business with people, like and trust, this is what you've built trust by showing up consistently and giving, and then also inviting and receiving. And so, I celebrate you as a successful NAPO standout member in our association. And
I so appreciate that, Claire, because we all live in our worlds, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know, you don't see the forest from the trees all the time. So I really, really appreciate that. I do. I really do.
Thanks for spending time with us, Leslie.
Anytime. I love you all.
All right. Have an awesome day, everyone. And don't forget to tune in. There are more episodes at napopodcast.com where we explore all the different ways you can better your business. And sometimes it's bettering yourself. So until the next episode, do stay safe, be kind to yourself, and enjoy this journey. So Leslie, I had one more question for you because you've been so successful in cultivating this business on many fronts. What part does language play in the success?
I think language is everything because I think as we know this as individuals, even as business owners, we are acutely aware that we don't like to be sold to, right? Like sign up now and that kind of thing. We do not do that. We do that at the very end. Obviously, you need to hit a buy button to purchase, but how we bring up particularly our webinars is we invite you. And that's the language we always use. We don't say like brand new webinar, register here or buy here. It's we invite you to join us. So it's almost like you're getting this invitation. Like I know how you said the theater, and I love that because people do have an expectation that they have to pay to go to the theater. But we invite you to join us for our next webinar. The topic is, the cost is, and this way, I feel like they are ultimately in charge of their choice. And they're not being like hit over the head. So sometimes, even when we're announcing a webinar in a dedicated email, meaning an email that is solely just speaking about the webinar, it comes in letter form. It does not come as like MailChimp, register here, buy now. It comes with, hi, Claire, I would love to invite you to join us for our next webinar. And I will literally say, this is what we're going to talk about. And if you would like more information, I invite you to go to our website, click here, because you do want that call to action. You do want to tell your people where they need to go to learn more.
That's gorgeous.
That has, I will tell you this, that conversion, I mean, if we really want to talk about like marketing here, doing it that way changed everything for us.
Wow. I love that because there's a sense of honoring your guest when you're inviting them. Right? Yeah.
And it goes back to that journey and inclusion and, hey, this is what we're doing at Order Out of Chaos. We would love you to join us. And people, it's a softer sell, but it feels very right for me as Leslie.
Well, and there's this sense that this thing is happening. With or without you, you're invited to join. But this river's flowing. So do you want to join us? Right?
I like that. You're right. The river's going whether you're on it or not.
Get a tube and join the river.
Get the heck on that tube, girl.
So anybody who remembers the NAPO conference in Phoenix, Arizona will remember fondly the Weston Lazy River because many a good meeting happened in that river.
Oh man, there was such good stuff that came out of that river.
And you want it to be in the river. So, it's a really lovely way to think about a business as you're inviting people into this experience. And you're honoring them. So thank you.
Because aren't your community is your business.
100%.
You can have a great webinar, but if nobody shows up, then, so you better be inviting, and you better be inviting graciously because they're the most important thing that happens in the webinar. It's not you, it's them being there. So that's a big thing for us. And that took a while to figure out. None of this is, I want to make that clear too, Claire. I've been around for a long, none of this. I made a lot of mistakes. We did a lot of things wrong. I had webinars where there were crickets. Like we need to establish that you definitely learn by trial and error. And you have to kind of test things out to figure out what's going to work best for you. And this piece of it was the hardest thing to figure out. And it was only recently, like in the last 2 years, that we realized this was the way to ask people to come join us.
That's amazing. This is distilled learning, really, from years of evolving and trying things and then tuning in and finding out what worked. So, Leslie, again, I just want to thank you one more time for sharing all these gold that you've created so generously with the NAPO community and beyond for whoever's listening.
Thank you. Always happy to be here.
All right. Take care, Leslie. Talk to you again soon, I hope.
Bye, everyone.